Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA. My name is Seamus Brady. I have Luke Payton here with me, and we're going to be doing a match review of the Galway versus Wexford Alliance Hurling League match. Wexford beating Galway by 2 goals and 15 points to 15 points. Luke, can't really ignore this start anymore from Wexford. First they beat Limerick at home, then they beat Clare away, now they've beaten Galway. 3 from 3 for new boss Darragh Egan. You know, what a start.
Yep, look, and they're the form team in the country right now. And look, I think the big surprise really here is that after that Walsh Cup kind of game against Dublin, I think people thought they were kind of in a bad old way and that it would be a fair bit of transition time for Darragh Egan to get right. But look, they've kind of brought back in players like Rory O'Connor and Matt O'Hanlon and Shane Reck at the weekend, Damien Reck, and they've just kind of transformed it really completely. And yeah, you look at the team there at the moment, there's still kind of pieces to come back in as well. So look, I think they'll be absolutely delighted with it. They travelled to Galway, playing in Pearse Stadium, which is probably the worst place in the country to play hurling. So to get a win there, like, I think it's a huge result. And you look at the team at the weekend, they did it without Liam Ryan, and Conor McDonald pulled out late from the game.
And
They were too late. Paudie Dunbar and Shane Reck came in for them. So yeah, like, I think considering missing those two players as well, going up to Galway and everything there, you can't really underestimate this result as well. So like, it's a really, really good win. And yeah, you know, in a division where Limerick were there, I think it's between themselves and Cork fighting out for that league final in Division 1A right now.
Yeah, and I was just saying there, the other player that they're missing is their talisman, Lee Chin.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And that, look, they've been without him for the entire league. No, he's kind of, I think he's playing soccer and stuff like that as well. That he's really taken his time coming back. He's been given that kind of period there. And you know what, I think it's for the best for Wexford that it's given, like, they've known that he won't be around, and it's given them opportunity to blood new players as well. Look, we're going to talk about Oisín Pepper already, that he's come off the bench, only a teenager, scored a goal on the point, won the game for them essentially as well. Like, McGuckin at wing forward does an awful lot of work as well, and seems like it's kind of interesting really looking at it, that the type of player that Darragh Egan's favoured, that at the weekend in McGuckin one wing forward and then Liam McGovern in the other. Paudie Foley's got a lot of time there, so he's going for really hard working wing forwards as well to help out what's like an absolutely dominant half-back line of Matt O'Hanlon, Paudie Foley and Conor Flood at the moment. So yeah, it's a really nice kind of balance to the team at the moment. And yeah, like, when it comes to championship and they can leave Rory O'Connor and Conor McDonald alone as a two-man full forward line, like, there's not many teams that are going to be able to stop that.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, like, throughout the game, I thought Wexford looked very impressive, especially the first goal. I mean, it was a hand pass across and Paudie Dunbar cut it sweetly on the volley. I think it was Rory O'Connor who hand passed the ball across to him. Fantastic move by Wexford. And at that point, they were really motoring. And they were the better side for most of the game. That was the thing that kind of confused me as well, is that Galway had been moving so well under Shefflin as well. Of course, they had 2 wins from 2 as well. They beat Limerick too. But did you ever think at any point in this game that Galway were absolutely going to win? Wexford seemed to be in control for quite a lot of this game.
Yeah, look, and it was just really an arm wrestle the whole game. And yeah, it always seemed to be that way. Like, I know Galway might be a little bit aggrieved that they probably felt Jack Conor should have been sent off at a certain point, but look, them's the breaks in the games really. So, but the thing kind of from this game, like, there was a lot of shadow boxing going on in this game as well. Like, you look from Galway, we already talked about the late changes from Wexford, but for Galway, like, Conor Whelan wasn't involved. I'm not sure what the crack with there was. Evan Nyland only came off the bench as well, and there's plenty of players come back in then as well from the bench, and that weren't even involved at the weekend for Galway. So yeah, like, the two teams, they kind of, like, they have spines to their team that they will be using later in the year, but I'm not fully sure if this is kind of if it's resembling where they're going to be at in about a month's time. So both teams kind of, they were given a bit of an opportunity to a few fringe lads to make a name for themselves out there at the weekend. And yeah, I suppose, look, ultimately, look, Wexford just came out on top, completely kind of deserved it. And I think they'll take an awful lot of positives with the back line as well. I think Damien Reck and Simon Dunhill as well, they had huge games too, and look, they look to be really solid back there. So like, you look at what they conceded to Limerick as well. I think it was only 11 or 12 points they conceded in that game. And then, look, 15 points to Galway playing away. Like, the defence looks really, really good shape at the moment. And yeah, just like a special mention to Rory O'Connor again. The fact that he's never kind of he's had only 1 year where he's got to the semi-finals and got his name in all-star contention. If Wexford can kind of go on a sustained run throughout the championship and play plenty of games, I think he's a shoe-in for an all-star because his level of talent is like the best in the 15 in the country.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's on fire right now. Best hurling that I've ever seen him play. So you've talked about the form of the O'Connors. We've talked about them digging out new players and the likes of Pepper and McGuckin. But I think a special mention as well, Paudie Foley, his return to the panel, he's been absolutely supreme at centre-back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big thing from last year, that with him kind of stepping away for the year, that was a huge, huge loss. Because before that, like, I do think that he was, like, Matt O'Hanlon had been playing centre-back for ages, but he kind of taken over as the mainstay of that half-back line, and the kind of, he'd always pop up with scores as well. And he was just an influential figure back there. And yeah, look, that move to centre half back, he's mopping up absolutely everything there as well. And he's just playing at a level where he's the best centre half back in Leinster right now by considerable distance. So yeah, that was an absolutely huge thing for Darragh Egan coming as a new manager, to have him coming back into it. And it's some like kind of a show of fate of Paudie Foley and Darragh Egan to come back in after taking the time away, that he felt that he was happy enough to come back in for Darragh Egan. So that's a great boost for the camp, a great vote of confidence in the management and everything as well. So yeah, I think, look, it was exactly what Wexford needed. And it's when you list their starting 15 and you run through it, and then you start to think, like, how are these actually that far behind the rest of the chasing pack? And like, they're really not at all. That starting 15 is equally as strong as many other counties that are considered kind of contenders for the All-Ireland. So like, a few more wins, and looking with, there's going to have to be serious conversations about how far this team can go.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And as for Galway, of course, Shefflin gave run-outs again to the likes of Jack Grealish, Tom O'Monaghan, these new lads into the Galway side. Interesting enough, Conor Whelan didn't start right at the end. I think that was a massive blow for Galway. But, you know, where do you see them at now after this defeat?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed. I think after the Limerick game last week, that just the nature of how they beat Limerick, I think there was an awful lot of optimism around them. And like, some of those new players that you mentioned there, like Tom Monaghan, Jack Grealish, and other players like that were involved last week, like Jack Hastings as well, and Ronan Glennon as well as the other one. And like, you're kind of hoping that they would take an awful lot from that victory and then kind of keep kicking on, but like, didn't go as well for them. Like, Tom Monaghan was taken off like half time. Jack Hastings in the start, which was an interesting one, and like Jack Grealish had a tough enough time in marking that Wexford full forward line. Again, Ronan Glennon too, kind of game passed by a little bit. So yeah, I think that was a little bit disappointing, that you kind of hoped that the belief that would come from the Limerick game, that that those players would be a serious consideration for the rest of the year. But you're still kind of, after that, there's nearly kind of a thought that, look, Galway are going to have to get their established players back for later on the championship, and maybe these lads aren't ready just yet. So yeah, look, we'll have to just keep watching, and I'm sure Henry's going to keep giving them plenty of opportunity. But yeah, I think a little bit disappointed kind of after what happened last week. But you have to bear in mind as well, look, Conor Whelan will be playing full forward, Brian Concannon will be in corner, and Nyland will be on freeze as well. So look, there's plenty of strength to come back in. But yeah, just kind of hoped for a little bit more, a bit of a better performance from Galway. But look, they're still in a good place, and they're still in consideration to, like, they've one loss here now. They can still keep pushing on, and look, if results go their way, maybe they still have a chance for league final.
Yeah, no, they still are in a good place. I mean, losing to Wexford is no thing to be ashamed of, because as you mentioned, Wexford are in a fantastic place and they're getting better and better under new boss Darragh Egan. Guys, that is the Play On GAA match review of Galway versus Wexford. Wexford winning their third game out of 3 under new boss Darragh Egan. Finished 2-15 to 15 points. Keep an eye out for all the other content across the channel of the weekend's action. Until the next one, guys, take care.